All right. Well, shalom and peace and love to everybody. I hope you guys are having an amazing life and you're experiencing the fullness of everything. Man, it's just been so profound, folks. The reality of our source, core source. If you hear me using that term, and I'll even extend it a little bit, hopefully it'll help somebody. But core source knowledge. I think that much is falling away, and the clarity is coming a little clearer. And wow, I really do hope that you guys are starting to get a sense of how great you really are. And I know that it's really we live in such a screwed up mindset, and yet there is so much wonderful things for us to experience. And so I hope you'll hear that, and I hope you'll hear it in the right heart and context. And uh, we're on a really good journey, folks. There is much good in front of us, and there have been people that have been experiencing it all along. We just haven't really been privy to that because of the hedges and the blocks and the doors and the chains, and I can use all those things metaphorically, and they're correct. None of them are actual literal, but they are spiritual hindrances that get in front of us. And so as truth begins to come more, the purpose of all of this for all of us is that someone finds a truth, and they share it with other people so that other people might find the truth. Now, I say it all the time, and I think a lot of people maybe it comes off as being, I don't know, I'm sure there's lots of ways people could take the way that I am, and I'm okay with being me, and I'm learning to love me more. But as I hope all of you will learn to love you more, because one of the things that's keeping us in hindrance, folks, is that internal struggle that we maybe aren't even aware of in many cases. I certainly wasn't, and it is becoming more clear that I'm able to see that, and I go, wow, that really was true. So I hope that you guys are starting on in your journey. I hope that you're starting to move into a place, a phase, a time as ascension, as we really do. Consciousness is being more and more exposed. It's being more and more brought in front out of many places. And so I hope that you will take that and allow that to live inside of you as well. What if it really was true that there really wasn't any reason, there wasn't anything wrong with you? Think about that for just a second. I don't know about you, but for me, it made me want to jump up and, that song, what it makes me want to shout, kick my heels up, that kind of concept. That's what it did for me, because, we've all lived under the concept that we have to work to be something. And what if it's really not at all the truth? What if you really don't have to work to be anything? If there's work to be done, maybe it's work to change that false self so that you can actually enjoy and experience the self that isn't broken. Take that and think about that for a little bit. What if the learning and the changing is really you changing guards, if you would? I'll say it like that. What if you changed from living in the realm, the 3D realm, if you want to use spiritual terminology, to become the 5D realm that you really already are? Now, can the 3D realm affect your 5D realm? You damn right it can. In fact, it can completely lock you out of it. So it's not like this isn't important, but what if you really don't have to do anything? Uh, the inner work self is not insignificant by any means, but it's also not like going to the gym and you have to lift 5,000 pounds today or you somehow failed. It's there, it's real, and it certainly is a blockage, but it's really not. It just has to come from your heart, that you really see what I'm saying is true and you have a desire to change it. And then, of course, it gets much easier to do as you grab that revelation. So I hope that all of you will grab that revelation. Man, this is what all of this is about, folks. This is about not us living horribly painful, unhappy lives so that we can somehow be good enough. This is about learning that we're good enough so that we can actually live lives that are happy and peaceful. And is there going to be bad things happen? Of course. But I promise you, when you live in a frequency of happy, peaceful, even those bad times aren't near as bad as what they used to be for you. Maybe some of you are living and you're still residing in that realm, and every day is a struggle and horrible and all of those things. And I certainly know that realm because I lived there for most of my life. But on the other side, I will give you a blessing today. You don't have to live there. It's absolutely as simple as you deciding that I'm not going to live there. And so there's a piece and a part for this, and I will tell you it is moving along, whether you see it or experience it or believe it. It is still happening, and it is still going on. And I don't quite know all the answers that I would maybe sometimes like to know. I do believe that there are some things maybe that are, well, I don't know, necessarily less than enjoyable, but all of that less than enjoyable to a large extent is based on you. And so, you know, I don't know if you've seen a picture. We had one on the television just a while ago, and I thought how beautiful it was of a tree, and the picture that you'll see it probably more after, you know, it's brought to your attention. But one of the most beautiful metaphors for us of the as above, so below, which if you turn that sideways, that works exactly. It's actually the same as saying, as inside, so will be the outside. And if you're living a bad outside, that's not really wonderfully comforting information, because I'm telling you that you're the reason your life sucks so bad. And while I am saying that, I'm not saying that to you in that you intentionally may be doing that. In fact, I think that when the truth really begins to come out and get clarity, people will all of a sudden be able to drop and release the control that's been had on them. Okay? You are creating reality whether you realize it, but the problem is when you're told that the reality that you live in is what you're supposed to be creating, it really gets really difficult to get out of that shit. And all of us have been told that. Christianity told us that we are sinners, and we are broken, and we are horrible, and we need a salvation, and we need this, and we need, and we need, and we need, and we need, and we need. And what if the real truth is that the truth is what you really need is to recognize who you really are. And if you do that, the work isn't near as difficult as what you may have lived in your past life. Almost to the point that for some of you, walking in the truth will be more difficult for you initially, simply because it's so foreign from what you've been taught. We were born into this earth, and we grew up with a predisposed idea that there must be something wrong with us. And I promise you, if you had come in an environment where you were told there wasn't anything wrong with you, your whole outlook on life would be completely different. And so it's happening now. If I needed to live 65 years before I found that out, then what difference does it make? The rest of the years that I have are going to be the best years no matter what. And so all of that was all for a purpose. I don't say that there's not purposes in the bad, in the horrible things that our parents taught us, and the behaviors that church taught us, and the struggle that we went through. I don't say that there isn't good to come out of that, but I just say that I could have gotten a lot more good not having to live through that. And so I hope that you will allow yourself that privilege to just relax. So for those of you who may not quite understand, there's been a few pieces that I think have come to light, and they seem to have worked. They've helped me. The first thing is to recognize that it is absolutely within your power to have connection with your higher self even before you know the higher self. And the higher self, which is the true you, must be explored by you. And if it's not important enough for you to find out who you are inside, don't waste your time, because you're never going to find the truth. You'll live and you'll continue to suffer just like you have been. You don't have to, but you certainly will. It's becoming loud, man, in the spirit realm, that we really don't know much about anything, to be quite honest with you. And so I see all of these people, and this is where one of the verses out of the Bible, as I said, I'm recognizing the more truth in the Bible in a metaphysical level if you change the interpretation of it. But it says that every man does what's right in his own eyes. In many people's eyes, doing what they think is right. And if that's the way you live, then I'm sorrowful. You'll stay living in the circle you're in. And you continue to walk on people. You continue to be unconscious as hell. You don't get shit. You don't explain anything. You don't see anything. You simply just walk mindlessly and do what pleases yourself with no consciousness of your behavior to other people. And if that's you, and if that's where you choose to stay, you're certainly free to do so, but it's not going to bear the fruit that I'm talking about. It will bring the fruit that you deserve for that behavior. So I've said it, and I didn't realize, and thank goodness Source has brought me several people recently that are much deeper than most, and I can deal with them. They're saying words I've been saying to you guys without even knowing. It's called now, it's starting to pop up a lot, direct knowledge. I know the things I know because I know them, not because I learned them. And there is a massive shift going on amongst spiritual people right now with this concept. Is becoming very major. Okay, it's not that I'm somehow some special. I've been functioning in this my whole life without knowledge of it. It's always made me different, and it's always separated me from all of the mindless people. I've known that for 60 years now. There's a reason why the people that were my friends and then weren't my friends, and it's all tied to consciousness. And so some of you may have experienced the same. For other people, they were unconsciousness and maybe still are at a lesser degree, but they have moved some from where they are. But the reality of this concept is these things have to come out of our core consciousness. In other words, source consciousness. In other words, your true high self. And so for those of you who may be having questions, the whole concept of meditation recently has begun a new journey with me. And really a lot of the stuff that people are doing that is meditation is really is programming from some other entity. Someone that I valued 2 years ago just came on the TV just an hour ago, and what he was telling people is doing nothing but keeping them in bondage for pay. And that's the exact same way. When you begin to look inside, you begin to see things that you've never seen before. I'll show you the next new leg while it's happening in the inception that is going on, and it's this whole concept, because I've heard a lot of people, and I know I have knowings inside of me that may not fit with everybody else, and a lot of you guys are living in the realm and already have no knowledge of it, how you are being mediated by this thing that is called artificial intelligence. And AI is going to be the destruction of most simple-minded people. It is going to totally destroy them. I promise you, if you spend a lot of time in leisure on your phone, you are being programmed to death by the artificial intelligence. See, here's the problem with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is nothing but reworking of knowledge that has already been received. So what our AI does is it goes and it retrieves all the world's knowledge, and it brings it back to you, and it gives it to you because you don't possess it. You then think that this information is new, and it's not. It's just a very fast retrieval of what we already know, and that's not higher consciousness, folks. I actually listened to a spirit worker who was asking the question, should we be channeling AI into our life? Should AI be our spiritual guru, if you would? And if you do, you're doomed. You'll never get out of that matrix. It's worse than Christianity is. Well, just so you know, AI was created and has existed for a long time in other realms. It's not new, it's only new to humans. And so they're using it to program you. And it's worse than Christianity is because you think you're protected. So I will say to you, you do whatever the hell you want to, but it is very, very destructive. And if you keep your nose stuck in a phone, that's where you're going to stay. Its purpose is to do that to you. So you won't find direct knowledge, inner core consciousness will never come from a cell phone. And if that's where you think your source is, you better think that thought again, because it is going to damage you. It's not that you couldn't get out, it's that you chose not to. You would not choose your inner self over something external, the phone. Good luck. That's all I have to say about it. So, what I came to talk today, I had an unction in my heart, once again, as I did last week, to talk about a concept, a principle out of the Bible that all of us who were Christians lived and grew up with. Very profound. These things they were teachings of Yeshua, and that's why they're so important. Paul actually gave us the statement in the manner in which I'm going to use it, and maybe many of you will remember it. There's a statement, and the statement says that there is faith and there is hope, and then the ruler of everything is love. And just so you know, that is actually infinitely profound when we come to the understanding. When we talk to Yeshua, when we read his writings that were recorded of him, we find him constantly making deep mystical statements like whatever that you believe in your mind is what your reality will become. And so really, to be quite honest with you folks, all that's happening right now is exactly what I talked about, which is perception. I don't say that a lot of the Bible shouldn't be washed out. It should be. But what I'm talking about specifically is the teachings of Yeshua, the few that ended up in the New Testament. And the ones that ended up in the New Testament that are validated by the things he said outside of the New Testament are indeed very profound spiritual truths that are coming. There is no way for you to change your reality without faith. So if you were faithless in the Christian church, you will probably, unless you choose to, you will remain faithless in this, and you will be no more effective than you were in Christianity. That's why he said, those that believe will do the same things that I do and only greater. What we didn't understand because of their corruption in our minds was that he was being literal and that we have that power now. So I would encourage you to look and to think about this. Faith is what? We're given the complete definition of faith in a nutshell that comes from Paul. And Paul says, now faith is the substance, it is the tangible essence of that which I have not yet seen. Folks, that's spirituality in a nutshell. That one word is spirituality in a nutshell. If you do not believe what you want manifesting, then you are manifesting what you do believe, but it's not what you say you believe. See, actually the universe is the world-class winner at proving lying spirits, lying hearts, lying minds. People say that they want this. Well, I want peace and love and joy, and then they go out and do everything that brings just exactly the opposite of that. Here's a problem that you may not know that is very real and very evident, and that is that the universe keys off of your true thought, coherence, intention, lack of dissonance, your alignment with the truth of source, and anything that is not true and pure is too the universe is radio static noise, and you do not see that come to pass. What you receive in your life is radio static noise, while you convince yourself in your mind that you're somehow spiritual. It's sad, but it is very true. And so how do we fix that? I'm not the only one saying this by far. There are others that are selling really good self-help classes that will charge you thousands of dollars for retreats to hear what I just told you. It's the hidden truth. Okay? Everything that is emanating in your life today, right now, whether it's a thought you're having about me at this second, is coming out of who you truly are inside. And the problem with that is people don't want to recognize what they truly are inside, because oftentimes it's not very nice. It's not very kind. It's not very loving. It's not very self. So they put on the fake smile, pat you on the back, tell you they love you, and inside there's nothing but hate and dissonance. And if that is where you are, and that is where you live and function, I promise you, you're just simply going to continue to live in the space that you're living in now. It's not going to change no matter how many affirmations. That's why, if for those of you that paid attention, I no longer even offer to waste my time with affirmations from people, because affirmations are very powerful, but they're only powerful when those affirmations are in alignment with what you truly believe inside of you. That's why, if you notice how many Christians, they used to quote the Christian mantras, and they would go up to the front and they would get prayed for and yada, 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 and yet nothing ever changed. Why didn't it change? Because the universe sensed that they were in dissonance. There wasn't coherence. There wasn't alignment with Source, which is purity and truth and love and light. And so Source says, it's nothing but radio static. Their life will continue to function in radio static. So I just gave you how to move into the spirit realm. It's really a very, very simple thing, but if you understand that it's controlled by the power of your mind, and if your mind is screwed up, then everything you're doing is screwed up. And so it's very really crazy how simple moving into different realms and changing. You know, I used to have people at the church that would tell me, oh, well, brother, I'm not very good at changing. If you keep speaking that, first off, you're totally destroying your opportunities to change, because the signal you're putting out to the universe is, I can't change. And the universe says, okay, this one says they can't change. And of course, you know what happens? You manifested exactly what you said. So you are manifesting. Everybody, we really, I wish I could get all of these so-called gurus that are doing all of their stuff. I wish they would quit selling, because it is a very popular seller to people to sell them that if they just do your thing. All of the major people that have written in the scholarly world about manifestation are all saying the same thing. And what they're saying is right, but how it's presented to people gives them a false illusion that all I have to do is think this one thing and I can physically overpower myself, and that's not true. This has to come synergistically from inside of you. If you're impure in your heart, you're impure in your life. It's that simple. Whatever you are inside is what your life is outside. It's that simple. It's not difficult. And so if we would focus on doing the inner work of finding who we truly are, of desiring and actively pursuing connection and contact with inner self, and what's so weird about that is that the inner self child does exist and is really more real than you are. It is the part of us that is eternal. And so when you finally dig through all of the shadow work that you're living in, the fakeness, if you would, and I know that for some people that's offensive to say that they're fake, that you'll get a lot of ego that comes out of that. And I apologize if I bruise your ego, because if it wasn't true, and if your ego wasn't bruised, then what I would say would never be offensive to you. Because what I'm saying to every one of you is that we all could possess the power, and as humanity increases, it's going to increase. but it's going to increase in the pattern that I'm telling you right now. It's not a hidden secret. I'm not selling you something. In fact, very few people do anything to bless my life, but he blesses my life through the opportunity to speak the truth. And truth always will bear out inevitably. So just understand that I understand that. So here's the piece of it. Faith is the having what it is that you desire right now, and that inside of you there is absolutely no conceivable way, even though you haven't received it, for it not to come. And so here's what we do. We have faith for about 5 minutes, and then it's after that, it's like it's over, and all of a sudden, well, it didn't happen. And I hear these people talking on the TV about you can manifest instantaneously. Well, if that's the case, all of those people that are teaching that and selling the courses to do that, all of those people would be sitting on television having a thought about $1 million appearing, and all of a sudden there's $1 million sitting next to them. If you listen to them, they're telling you we're very much in this game for money. Okay? You are part of the manifestation that they're expecting. If I tell you these things, you will send me your goods. That sounds just like the prosperity message Kenneth Copeland taught that made him a multimillionaire and built him a 50,000 square foot house in Dallas, Texas, and 20 airplanes, folks. He is manifesting according to the rules that I'm telling you about. Whether you know it or understand it is irrelevant. It's still how he's doing. He's charging the air with what he wants, and he believes he's going to get it, and guess what happens? He gets it. Wow. You mean you could do that? Well, if your heart is impure, yes, just as much as if your heart is pure. Bad people manifest all the time. In fact, in some ways, what we might call bad people, actually, because of the condition of their heart, they are very adamant. Remember this. This has been one of the greatest pieces that I've seen. Because we're told that if your heart is pure, that doesn't mean pure in the concept that we have grown up believing of a pure heart. It means that you very adamantly, with all of your inner strength, believe what you desire. That is pure. It is to say, there is no radio static in that signal that's being sent to this electric universe that we are part of. And so that's why you see so many people that are very rich. Why they have manifested that money. It has nothing to do, and I've been telling you all this, and I hope some of you, if you've struggled with it, I hope that you will begin. Christianity, on many levels, folks, you really have to go out the window. Because if you understand what I'm saying to you, it's purity of thought and intent is what manifests, not morality. Not purity as far as goodness goes. The universe examines each individual human, and the universe, the spirit, the energy, the consciousness, all of the above, what they see in you is either static, radio wave static, or they see coherence. Well, I have a study that I've been doing by a guy named Yitzhak Bentov, and it's called the Chasing the Wild Pendulum. He was killed by the CIA because he told humanity how to access consciousness. And the words I'm telling you right now are the exact words that he told people. It's the exact words that many of these ancient psychologists, Alan Watts was one of them, he knew. It's a weird thing. It's only when you quit pursuing that you actually prepare the ground for you to receive. That's really foreign. We think that, and it doesn't mean that you can't go work hard and get a business and kill yourself and isolate yourself from your family and build a business. And if you're functioning out of the mind and the carnal, then that's exactly what you do. That's why you see successful people who are very unhappy, and they end up divorced and they separate from their family. They have no time for them because that is not part of the manifestation. It comes from hard work and from thought process. I'm talking about a manifestation that you don't create, that source sends to you. So instead of you chasing something, something begins to chase you. Did you hear that? All of our life, we've all been following the pattern of chasing, of attaining something. And it's massively different when you begin to walk in coherence with the universe and the universe begins to bring. Okay? I've had multiple situations, and it's just absolutely amazing, the things, and if you miss them, then you miss them. It's unfortunately, there is a place in our world for us to be conscious of the things that Source is doing for us, the protections that Source is giving to us, the doors that are opening, and there's a shift that's going on for me, and everything is just getting a whole lot easier. I'm not perfected. All I'm doing is telling you what I've found that works, and I know from my resonance when it shifts. Not that I still have yet overcome my reactions. I haven't. But I am certainly dealing with those much better. And the more that I practice and the more that I continue on, I will eventually come to a place where it really doesn't matter what you say, because it's not important to me. Not that you're not important, that you and your behavior isn't going to move me off of my core consciousness. And so core consciousness is a revelation that is coming, and it is very strong. In fact, what it actually does is it actually makes you kinder. Because now the things that you used to would blow up about, it's not that you don't care about them, they just don't move you. And man, if you know somebody that for no reason or some reason that will go off on you, and before it's over with, you're in a screaming fight, you're in that because of unconsciousness, not because of consciousness. That is a trait of unconscious people. They trigger. When you see all of the stuff with the triggering that's on television, people go watch videos of people and call them Karen time. Karen is proof of unconsciousness. A person who goes off and stops their car and goes and hits somebody in a car, that's all proof that they're not conscious, because conscious people would have never let the action move them off of their core base. I'm talking about being empowered to create your own reality. And it is amazing and it's beautiful, folks. I'm telling you, if some of you will grab a hold of some of these pieces, you will change, you will shift. You won't even have done anything to do it. You will just wake up, get a revelation flash, and you will recognize you just acted in a way that you have never in your life acted before. And some of you may have done that, and if you have, don't diminish that just because it was some little small thing. It is one of the steps in the process to us evolving. And so, faith then. Faith is believing when you ask, whatever thing that you ask, I'll give it to you another verse, whatever thing that you ask, if, so there's the qualifier, if, when you ask it, you believe you already have it. Folks, that's out of the middle of every mystical book that's ever been written, teaches that principle. And so when I say manifestation comes out of what you are inside. If you believe that you have received this good thing, you don't need to see the good thing because you already know the universe has given it to you. It's a mystical thing, folks. All of this teaching that's in the Bible about what I'm talking about that Yeshua taught is mysticism that has been hidden under the guise of religion. And they wanted you to never find what I'm sharing with you right now. But Yeshua meant exactly what he said. Why? Because you are creating what you are inside. If you are in doubt and unbelief, you will never get the thing, and your doubt and unbelief is exactly what will manifest. When I told you it's going to be difficult because now there's nobody to blame for your failures, it was absolutely correct. And that just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Wow, somebody else didn't do that. I did that. I need to change this. And so if you will stay conscious and present in the moment, you will start seeing those things, and that opens the door. Now, if you get to that point and you still choose to continue on the path that you've been on because you haven't resolved yet, well, then you're just going to keep receiving, even though you have a new peace that you didn't have before. So faith, hope, and love. So faith is believing the minute that I ask Source for it. Many will tell you, and I think that if you get the opportunity, that when we go into theta mind, which is that time right between sleep and awake, that is when your subconscious is the least active, and what you seed and what you program there. One thing that you could do is, if you find yourself right before you fall off, if you would begin to send out signals from a heart that's pure, obviously, but if you begin to send out signals and invoke and ask your higher self to become a part of your life, you'll be amazed that it'll start happening. See, what we didn't understand is this higher self thing is almost like another person that lives inside of us, and we have to build relationship with it. Well, the relationship is called trust. So that's a piece that's been brought in. But I promise you, if you lay down at night and you go, well, that guy said if I'll just lay here and call higher self, then higher self will come and fix all my problems, there ain't nothing going to be different in the morning. It's on one level, it's kind of sad, because I know that there's very few people that are going to take this truth and actually put it into application. But the ones that do are going to be successful. That's not an if. I'd like for you to hear that. It's not an if. The only reason it's not is because you don't. That's all. That's all that it takes for manifestation is believing inside of you. And so things, very archaic things like inviting your higher self to begin a revelation with you, a relation with you, asking higher self to begin to help you to take control of your life. There are contracts we are living by. Now, that is one that Wolfgang teaches a lot, that we have contracts from past lives that are very important, and they are very important, friends. You had contracts that you signed and obligated your soul to. The problem is we've been told you can't get out of those until you die, and you make new contracts which you have no knowledge of, so that you can come back in and do it all over again, and that's not at all how it works. The minute that you see that you were coerced into a contract, you have the right to cancel that contract, and your higher self is how you do that. And so it may be an ongoing journey, but man, there's times when you release something, you feel a release. And so I hope some of you might begin to practice that. But that happens in the mind. It happens inside in the heart energy, the chakra. So we have this faith. Faith is believing that you already have what you asked for before you ever see it. And there can be no divisiveness in there. If there is any doubt inside of you, I don't say that it will stop it, because it won't, but it will definitely prolong it. If you rectify that doubt and move back to the core, that thing will still manifest. It may just take longer for that to happen for you, whatever the thing may be. And so we have faith, and it functions like this. Well, hope, for many people, and many of you that have been around have heard me teach this many times. I was amazed as a Christian pastor when I kept hearing everybody talk about hope and grace and all of these other things. And as I always do, or almost always do, when I hear things, I go, I don't think that person's smart enough to know what those words mean. And I go find out for myself what they mean. And the concept of hope has nothing to do with wishing, which is usually how most humans use that concept. In reality, hope is expectant of what you've already had faith for. So here's a little process that'll go through. It's world renowned, and it will change your world very quickly if you can grasp the concepts I'm talking about. So faith believes that I already have it. Hope is the expectation. That is, you move out of simply in your mind believing, trying to convince yourself that God heard you and God's going to do what you ask, to knowing that you already have it, whether you see it or whether you don't is irrelevant, because you know and have trust in the universe, which is another big piece. And then you move into the hope, and the hope is the expectations of it. Now, hope is beautiful, and yet it's not always so beautiful, because hope will, for some people, will cause them to begin to try to make it manifest so that they can say that they made something manifest. There's a lot of ego that's still tied up in this stuff. There's a lot of people out there that are self-sabotaging because of their ego. They want so badly to be somebody or something, and they haven't come to the understanding that they already are, and the best day that they'll live will be when they quit trying to be. And for some of you, that may be very difficult, but it is a very strong reality that will bless you if you choose to. So hope then is the expectation. So what Paul is telling us is when you believe you have it, then you begin to expect it. That's not trying to go out and make that to happen. It's for you living in joy, knowing that source, the universe, is not going to fail. And the thing which I already know I have, I now am expecting to see it manifest. And what does that do? That modifies your focus on what you're looking for. Instead of looking in doubt, well, maybe if God wants to. I used to watch this with healing and praying for people a lot in Christian churches. And it's like, most people have already shot themselves in the foot 5 minutes after they get done praying a prayer. They're never going to see it, no matter what, because they have nothing except radio static for the universe to look at. And so what happens then is there's no expectation. Well, if God wants to, maybe he could sometime heal me. And I promise you, you'll live that for the rest of your life, because that's what the universe is going to give you back. Nothing. Because you've given them nothing. And so when you come into that concept and you begin to take a hold, and you begin to, in your mind and in your heart, when you can actually come, and I'm not talking about the affirmation thing of saying something till you believe it. This is really about this is like mega grandstand more huge than trying to use an affirmation. An affirmation is valuable when you are actually walking in that truth inside of you, and you're reminding yourself of what is coming for you. Okay? When you're reminding yourself of what is coming for you. So you say, wow, Source is bringing me what I'm looking for. And they can be the same words and yet totally not even be close to the same thing. Between someone who is trying to convince themselves and someone who is convinced, and they are actually, if you want to know, it's actually a form of pleasure. Because if you stop and think about it, it's sometimes unpleasurable. Let's say you got a hankering for something. You want a new car, or you want a new house, or whatever. And you go through all of this derision, and you go through all of this upset, and you look at how the bills are going to change, and you go, man, God, but I really want this house, and there's nothing peaceful about it. Well, if that's where you're at, you may get the house, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that house came from Source. Once again, remember, we all manifest things, good or bad, constantly. And so you do have the power to manifest a house. Did you manifest the house in a spirit realm? Did it bring that house to you? Or did you step out of and take the authority and power away from the universe and make it happen on your own? So this concept of hope then, faith is believing, hope is expecting, and in a true spirit of expectancy, what it really does is it turns your frequency up like turning the volume up. Because now it's not that you're out trying to do it. You're just looking everywhere knowing that Source is bringing this to me and I'm going to have what I want and I don't have to do a thing to get it. That, you want to talk about shift your frequency. Hope is one of the most powerful tools there is to shift your frequency. Because now you're happy about what you haven't even seen yet. And in our minds, what were we taught? If you can't see it, it ain't true. Whether you know it or not, the mass majority of Christians will never get a healing. And why? Because of what I just said to you. They don't ever believe it if they ever prayed in the first place. And I've met preachers who said, I don't pray for people anymore because I don't believe God's going to heal them. Well, that's a good thing. You come to a revelation. Please carry on with that. Let people find someone else who will believe to pray for them. And so for those of you that, that heard me say years ago, please don't pray for me. That has to be qualified, but the statement that I made, I still stand by. If you're not a high frequency person, it's not that I don't want to be thought of. It's just simply your thoughts and prayers are not going to do a thing for me. They're just waste. Do yourself a favor and spend that on someone else, because sometimes those actions and thoughts actually end up producing negative waves. And then somebody's projecting towards you negative waves. I'd rather just trust source in my higher self. Remember, we've been brainwashed our whole life that everything is outside, everything is outside, everything is outside, everything. We have to have somebody pray for us. What if you didn't need somebody to pray for you to get the divine supernatural healing? You just simply need to go inside and come to terms with what you want, and then be true about it, and then put that request in front of the universe, and then trust the universe that the universe will bring that thing. That's all there is to it. But that's really, I'm telling you, most people cannot freak their minds out enough to get there. How do I know? Because I've walked in some of this before I knew anything about mysticism. And I recognized it. Some of the words I've already said tonight, I said 20 years ago. Not to any humans, to myself. Without any knowledge. That's internal knowledge. It didn't come from a book, and it damn sure didn't come from a preacher. Okay? It came from internal knowledge. And that's where this realm is taking us, to internal knowledge. And so we have this faith, and then we have this hope, which is the expecting to receive what has already been given to us. And then, of course, we have the most powerful thing that exists in everything. And when I say everything, I'm talking all of the cosmoses and all of the universes, how many ever there may or may not be. I don't claim to know whether there's 5,000 universes or 50 billion universes. But I do know that there are many, many of all of the above that exist. And so then we come to that one, which is love, and the divine power that exists in everything is love. And if that doesn't, just so that you know why Yeshua gave the metaphor of loving your neighbor like you love yourself, really has a lot to do with this. It doesn't always come off as feeling really good and gushy, but it is a true reality, just like the static versus purity clear signal. Love is the same way. False love is just like radio static. People who use the word love to manipulate people, it has power, but it's negative. When you truly love people, because they are just exactly like you, and this is going to be really, really, really difficult in the human realm for many people, because we can't quite get. That's why the people that have the near-death experiences and come back and they're very, very profoundly affected, every one of them will tell you that they're affected by the love that they feel from Source, that they had never, ever in their life known that. And you don't either. I'm sorrowful you don't. You don't know what love is. That's why I've been asking you, do you even know what love is? Or are you functioning in a human realm, in a human thought process of what love might look like? Because it will be pale at best and horribly so at worst to what Source's love is. Think about it. What does it really mean to love something unconditionally? You don't even love yourself unconditionally. How can you love anybody else unconditionally? You can't. That's why he gave us the metaphor. It's more of a judging panel for you than anything if you know what it's about. What about? So how do you learn to love yourself? Oh, you get a book from somebody and they tell you how to do it. You've done this. You might as well call Jesus or call God and ask God to help you learn how to love yourself. Maybe some of you have done that 1,000,000 times in churches before. Oh, God, please help me learn how to love people like you love them. 20 years later, you're no different than you were 20 years ago. Because God, first off, doesn't exist, but secondly, he's not going to help you do that. If you're not interested in finding out what his love is, you'll never know. And if you don't know, you have no power. Because the love that Source projects on humanity is the love that created humanity and the universe, all things. I'm not talking about the archons and physically making our bodies, because we are not our bodies. I'm not talking about my body. I'm talking about me. And those are two separate things. And if you're still struggling with that, I understand it, because it's very difficult to get a hold of. That all of this fake facade that I've been my whole life is really not me at all. And until you begin to get that revelation, it'll be really difficult for you. But when you begin to get the revelation, then all of a sudden you start changing this. You do, on your own, because of the inside. And so, faith, hope, and love, what an amazing statement. It's the 3-word summation of the purest form of manifestation that exists. It is the only path to manifest. Good. Let me put that in there. So I hope that you guys will grab a hold of some of this. I know that it's kind of like a shotgun, but there's really so much more, and yet there's really nothing more. If you can't find it in yourself to believe what you're putting out there, and I'm not talking about simply believe because you told your mind you believe it, then you're going to be deterred and continue to keep manifesting what it is that you're manifesting now. And so I hope that some of you will take a hold of it. The beauty and the things that are coming are, I would say that you're going to be quite surprised as the powers begin to shift. And there will be many people who won't believe me that will find out that every word I've said is true, and that's okay. I'm not interested in that. I'm not trying to be anybody. I just am me. And I'm so thankful that he's exposing through the higher self that is me. But take your time. Maybe you should see if you don't have a desire inside of you to find out if there really is something to you other than who you think you are. Because I promise you, when you do that, you can quit trying to be a spiritualist or trying to find spiritual truth. You don't need colors. You don't need visions. You don't need dreams. And you may have all of those, but you don't need them, because they never could lead you to the truth anyways. So I hope you guys will grab a hold of it. There's amazing, amazing things are happening on this earth. Amazing things are happening in people. And I hope you get to experience some of the very things I'm talking about. Shalom and peace to each and every one of you. We'll be back if he wills. If things continue to remain the same, we'll be back on Saturday. And if not, I hope you have your best journey. Shalom and namaste.